From F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming, this is Missile Minutiae, the official podcast of the 90th Missile Wing and the Wranglers of F.E. Warren. Here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. With me, as usual, I've got Tech Sergeant Tyler Placey. You'd think I'd know this guy or something. How you doing, Tyler?
Oh, not too bad. I really enjoy the Placey part of it. It makes me feel really good.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
But to make me feel better, we do have two guests from the Comm Squadron today. One is Tech Sergeant Megan Stark, the Chief of Wing Cybersecurity, and the other is the Officer in Charge of Network Ops, Lieutenant Landon Gardner. Welcome, and how are you guys today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure to have you both on, and glad we're getting the opportunity to talk about something that's, I wouldn't say kind of important, I'd say it's extremely important. And even though it has this month of October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, it's not exactly something that we should only be concerned about in October. So why don't you tell us a little bit about things you might have going on first in October, if you have anything. If you don't, then we can just talk directly about things that people should be doing, period, in their personal lives and at work. So do we want to start with work or personal first?
We can do the at-home stuff first, if that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know that we really have anything specific happening in
Okay.
October.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Like you said.
We do.
You're not gonna
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, well, why don't you talk about it?
you're not gonna hack into any of our computers just for the heck of it for the Cybersecurity Month?
Only if we don't like you.
Oh, fair enough. I better watch myself.
Yeah, behave yourself, Tyler.
This year's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month focus is going to be on malware, how to get rid of it, basically, insider threat from a cybersecurity perspective, protecting information and devices, and strong passwords and PINs. And that came all the way down from CISO, as well as it's being emphasized by the Secretary of Defense. During the month of October, we're going to be sending out brochures and pamphlets, virtually more than likely, and also coordinating with your office just to make sure that information is getting out to everyone on behalf of not only the Air Force's Chief Information System Officer, but also on behalf of DoD.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that, and we've done plenty of that in the years previous. So we get those pamphlets and we turn around and we send them out. So we're always happy to help with that.
You did mention some pamphlets and brochures. Leading up to some of those things coming out, are there places that you would recommend to go for information to keep your at-home computer safe or anything like that?
There is a really amazing site. You'll just have to Google it. I'm not exactly sure the name, but I rely heavily upon CISA. So, and I think, do you know what?
Yeah, it's the Office of Cyber and Infrastructure Analysis.
Yeah, so they put out information on a regular basis, and they also hold conferences specifically related to maintaining protection over your information, as well as protecting your stuff at work and at home. So that's what I heavily rely on, as well as my shop. So they could check out CISA online.
Awesome.
We can start with what should people be doing and what should people be concerned about with their at-home cybersecurity. I mean, work security, we get a lot of that. We're trained pretty well. Mistakes are still made. But I think more often than not, from what I understand, when people get into trouble, it's usually with their home computers and that kind of thing.
Right,
and
absolutely.
apps and the like. So what would you give them as far as ideas and things to know, LT?
So first off, at home, you're typically, most people have Wi-Fi, right, at home. So that's where I'm going to start. Wireless security. So securing your router, ways to do that, and I'm going to try to make this in kind of layman's terms because it's pretty easy to go to geek speak with us and then not realize that no one understands what you're talking about.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. So when you're at home and you connect to your Wi-Fi at home, you're just connecting wirelessly to the internet through your internet service provider who provided you that equipment most likely. So what's happening is your router at home is constantly putting out a signal that is asking for, hey, I'm router X, and it's looking for your devices that routinely connect to it, right? And so one of the ways that your devices reaches out is through what's called the SSID, and that's just the name of your network at home, whatever you decided to name your Wi-Fi. And so a lot of times people will leave the default name of your network. They'll just leave it how it came from wherever they bought the router. A lot of times it's just like default or whatever it may be. One of the first things you can do to help your cybersecurity at home is change the default name and password on your router that's actually putting out your Wi-Fi. That'll make it a lot harder for people to either guess your password if that's what's going on, or just it just helps.
Sure.
And then the other thing I want to say is we'll talk a little bit about encryption. And so along with that, routers utilize different styles of encryption, and the one that is most current and up to date and the strongest is called WPA2. And so actually when you look at the settings on your router, you can drop down on the encryption and just make sure that WPA2 is the one that you're utilizing. Password security. So lots of people I know love to just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm sure some of us are guilty of it in this room maybe. So like I said, changing that default password, something 12 to 15 characters. It doesn't have to be super long. Something that means something to you. I've kind of seen in the past suggested where make up a sentence in your mind and just use the first letters of that sentence, or maybe with some numbers or a year in there. Special characters. Try to keep a little bit of variety in there. There's some other tools and features that kind of go more in depth. If we talk about like MAC filtering, things like that, you can actually, I think that's a little too deep. But
Appreciate it.
But yeah, other than that,
There was a speak you were talking
yeah,
about.
exactly, yeah. But yeah, so make sure your passwords are strong, and then using the WPA2, that is actually the best piece of advice I can give for wireless security at home. Any questions on that?
Well, I mean, one thing that I've heard in the past is that you should use different passwords for everything. And I don't know about you, but I think according to Google Chrome, I think I have like 270 different passwords. That gets to be a little challenging. I mean, would things like the password save features for some of these browsers, are these things good ideas? Because in reality, I don't know about you, but remembering 250 different passwords for a lot of people, I would think would be fairly challenging. So for somebody who doesn't want to try and do that, are there anything out there that we can, without the possibility of endorsement or anything like that, is there something that you can say as far as an option there?
So what I would say, instead of utilizing those password saves that you find on a Samsung or Apple product, what I tend to do, and what works for me really easily without having to endorse anyone, is just saving a Word document and encrypting that Word document on your drive. Now, that's better than putting a sticky note somewhere in your house. Or I've even seen password notebooks that have been advertised, and if one person walks by a desk and picks up that password binder, they have all access to every aspect of your life, and that could be banking information, it could be access to very personal and valuable information. So the thing that I would do is just save a Word document on your desktop, or even somewhere safe, like in an encrypted folder. That way you have a little bit more of what we call in the cyber land layered security. That will probably protect you a little bit better than allowing those features to save your password, because the last thing you want is for someone to, like, let's say you lose your phone while you're traveling through the Denver airport, and someone picks up your phone and they're able to crack your 1, 2, 3, 4 password on your phone, and then
Those are 6 letters now.
oh, okay. Well,
1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3, 4,
4,
6. Yeah. They're able to crack that, and then the moment they open it, they have access to all of your passwords because you've kept them saved on whatever app you're using. We like to endorse security, of course, outside of convenience. So you just need to make that personal assessment. Am I going to accept the risk, or am I going to, do I want this to be convenient? And that's really just something that we need to think about. If you're living in a cabin in the middle of the woods and you don't even have Wi-Fi, you're probably okay. There might be a wolf come by. That's your biggest threat. But if you're living in a
Probably not to your cyber security, though.
no, not
Personal security for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're living in a populated area, or you carry around your phone with you the same way you carry around your wallet, you're going to need to make sure you maintain that sense of security as layered as possible. So.
And I want to say, this kind of brings up another point on backing up your stuff. I know it's not specifically cybersecurity, but if you're going to make a note and encrypt it and it has all of your passwords on it, might be a good idea to make a backup of that. That way, if something happened, you might have another copy.
Makes good sense. Because, yeah, losing that file to whatever, I mean, accidents happen, data collapses, wow.
It collapses.
Collapse, yeah, whatever. Corruption, yeah, data corruption. I've had more than a few SD cards that have just gone bad on me.
That's a brain collapse
Yeah,
and a data corruption.
Correct, yes. It's been a long day, folks.
And it seems like I'll be the first to admit I can never remember all my passwords. So, and I actually do exactly what you said. I have a Word document and it's encrypted, and I find myself referencing it almost every day when I just can't remember them all. So, and like you said, it's definitely not a good idea to have one password on everything. So, that's kind of common sense, but I'm sure people out there do it. So,
yeah.
And if you don't know how to encrypt, Google is your friend.
Yep.
Everyone's friend. If you want to find out, what flavor pizza that The Rock likes, Google. The same thing with encryption. They're all in the same place.
That was very, very oddly specific, but I happen to agree with you. It is a very useful resource.
I would guess it's Hawaiian.
That,
but I'm sure there's probably steak and all kinds of other stuff added.
I'm fairly certain that guy eats 8,000 calories a day. So
At least.
So.
I do have a question while we're talking about passwords. There are a lot of sites that require you to change your password every so many days or what have you. Is there a day or number that you would recommend, even for personal sites that don't require that, to change your password?
I think that's personal preference more than anything else. We do have vulnerabilities coming out constantly with the internet changing, as well as new applications coming on board, new products being created, which kind of open up these tiny holes in products that you already own. So what I would do is just, as you hear about these vulnerabilities coming out, or even just to be absolutely safe, I tend to change mine every 30 days. But that's because my job is cybersecurity. So if you set a reminder on your phone every 30 days, you should be good to go. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Now, getting to work, and I know this may sting a little bit, but I oftentimes hear, our network's not working, and all this other stuff, right? And
that's okay. We hear that too.
I believe there's probably a lot of empathy that needs to happen for the folks working in comm, because we don't get to see a lot that happens behind the scenes. What type of stuff can you talk about that kind of would help people understand, like, this isn't something you can just flip a switch and fix?
Right.
So kind of the things that she touched on with the vulnerabilities popping up on things, as the guy who's running the network operations shop, two of my sections under me are the network control center and then the vulnerability management cell. And so what they do is they push patches. So when a vulnerability is published and made public, we are responsible for going to get the fix action and implementing that fix action on whether it be a server, a computer, whatever it may be, even printers and things like that.
Think of a patch as like when you're driving down the road and you are about to hit a pothole. A pothole is a vulnerability in the network, and when you see all those construction crews out there, they're the ones who are patching up the network, right? So that's what our vulnerability guys do. They fill in that asphalt in those areas so that the information highway can be a little bit safer to navigate.
I love these analogies.
Phenomenal.
That was really good.
Yeah, these are great.
So you're talking about implementing these patches as you find vulnerabilities. What does that look like when you're would you say uploading a patch?
Yep. So patches come in a variety of different ways. You can get them on disks. A lot of times we get them from the Department of Defense patch repository, which is just a central server that has all of the patches that they publish on there for known vulnerabilities to our networks. And so our technicians will actually go out, we scan the network to determine how many potholes we have on the road, right? And then we use that patch repository depending on which potholes we have, and we use those to patch the holes. And that is a process that takes a lot of time, and it requires folks to stay vigilant with keeping their systems online so that we can actually see those systems on the network. Obviously, if you take your computer home and we do a scan, we're not going to pick it up. And those are vulnerabilities that are being missed. And at a certain point, when that machine comes back online and my guys see that it's way past acceptable, we may have to take it off of the network to actually manually bring it in and do those patches.
And part of the reason your network might be slow at home is because you can think of it as like taking home a version of a textbook that you get in college, right? So you're taking your computer home, you're taking it off of the network, and you're working on it from probably a Wi-Fi router. And as you're working on it, it's not connected to the Air Force network necessarily, except through that VPN setting. So when you bring it back, it has to update. So it's basically like the system is rewriting it up to the most current version of that textbook. And sometimes we get 4 to 5 versions at a time, so that's why it slows all the way down.
What would you recommend as far as keeping information safe here on base?
Okay, so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about CMI prevention, and that is a classified message incident. Now it's called an NDCI, a negligent discharge of classified information, which I'm not sure why they changed it, but they did. We're going to stick with the old CMI because that's what everyone seems to know. But if you work in a classified environment or with what we call a secret or collateral environment, you just need to pay attention to your classification. It's really easy to sometimes switch between your monitors, and you might see, oh yeah, I'm definitely working on the secret network, but then you realize after you've sent the email that you are actually working on a non-classified network. And the reason it's important to pay attention to that is because we don't work on a base that only deals with, inconvenient, slow computer networks. We work on a base that deals with nuclear security, and we need to pay attention to and stay vigilant about, making sure that whatever information is associated with it is being protected. So when you're at home, just make sure that you are staying aware of what exactly you're typing on your computer, and also coordinating with your original classification authorities on what exactly can and cannot be put on a NIPR or non-secure machine. Additionally, I know that a lot of us go out to the MAFs, so we have what we call a restricted area badge or a RAB in addition to our common access cards. So nowadays we have the Internet of Things. Instead of just the Internet connecting computers to one another, we have the Internet connecting air conditioning systems, as well as lighting systems and fuel systems, complete infrastructures. If you're not paying attention or protecting your RAB and your CAC, or like leaving it on your dashboard, it could get damaged or stolen, and if it gets into the wrong hands, then we're going to have a major issue. Also, the consequences of these issues, unfortunately, are fairly grave. So just pay attention to whatever information you are hanging on to. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about email security. Similarly to what we were talking about earlier with the CMI information, we also have that PII, or personally identifiable information. Don't be sending, social security numbers of your troops out to your personal home email to write their EPRs, because then you're going to create a data spillage, and that information could get into the wrong hands, and you could accidentally create a situation of identity theft. So if you have any more questions, of course, regarding cybersecurity or anything work-related, we're more than happy to help, our office, the Wing Cybersecurity Office, but we also have our cybersecurity liaison, so you're more than welcome to lean on. But we're here to help and to inform, so.
What's a good number to reach you guys if we had questions?
Our phone number is 307-773-5139.
How about applications on your phone? I know I've read the news about one app in particular. I'm sure that'll come up in our conversation. It seems to be getting a lot of airtime here lately. What would you tell, particularly it seems mostly our younger airmen, about some of these apps and potential?
Don't put that on our younger airmen. Everybody's using these. Get out of here with that.
I mean, regardless of the application, social media in general you want to be careful what you're putting out there for everyone, literally everyone, to see.
Sure.
So that includes OPSEC. I mean, most people know about OPSEC. Don't be putting things out on the internet that you shouldn't be talking about. A lot of things that you put out there, maybe people aren't realizing. Even PII, like Sergeant Stark was talking about, putting things that can aggregate together that give you a better picture of someone's personal life, like birthday, location, where are you, like even things like your pet's names and things like that you might use for password protection or hints. All that data is aggregated pretty easily. I know that I have some information here on an app called TikTok, and
What is TikTok?
honestly, I've never downloaded it. I know a little bit about it, that it's some type of video sharing, some app, or it's just another social. I mean, they're all kind of similar in their own regard, right?
Is it like New Kids Vine?
Yeah, that's exactly what I look at it.
exactly
Yeah,
what it is.
that's exactly how I see it. Yeah.
So I'd kind of like to see what you guys know about that situation first, and what you have heard, whether or not, I don't know if you've pushed out much information regarding that app specifically.
So we really haven't. DoD on a whole has, but this this office really has not passed out a whole lot of information regarding TikTok. Now, there have been some warnings as far as you can't use this on government equipment.
Right.
And thankfully, from what I understand, at least in my office and at least the people that we've talked to, have not done that. However, I know for a fact that there are still people who, on their personal,
Absolutely,
on their own equipment, their own phones, they still have that that particular app.
I have been known to cut a little rug, but not on TikTok.
That's good. And honestly, I didn't need that visual, man. So, moving right along.
That was my major pain reference for the day. I apologize.
Well, it was a good reference. I liked it. But as far as TikTok's concerned, I mean, I think we've all at least heard that there is questionable connections between that company and an entity that we don't really want to be passing information to directly.
Right. So multiple reports of the company who owns TikTok in their relationship with the Chinese government and the Communist Party of China as well. So that led to the U.S. military banning TikTok as a whole. One of the things I want to bring up is the privacy policy, and this applies to any app or anything you're downloading, really, any service. Read the privacy policy. I know most people, just scroll right to the bottom and click accept. I agree to these terms, right? What are you actually agreeing to? So for TikTok, for instance, they collect your phone and social network contacts, your GPS position, your personal information such as your age, and any other user-generated content that you're providing them, such as your photos and the videos, obviously. They can store your payment information, and all of this information that you're giving them is stored on servers in China. And that is what led ultimately to the military banning it. And then obviously in the news, the federal government as a whole looking at the United States pending some transactions banning it as a whole country. So I think where they're heading, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, I think, in my mind at least, we're heading towards this place in society where maybe your abuse of personal data is becoming more of something that people are aware of, and that's kind of what that's the best part of it in my mind. Let's make people more aware of what they're agreeing to, what they're sharing, and what could possibly be stolen from them, used against them. Identity theft, like we mentioned earlier. But that's pretty much what I wanted to highlight there. So just be vigilant about what you're sharing online. I think that's the bottom line. Pay attention to what you're putting out there, because it stays out there. No matter if you think it does or not, it'll stay out there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you hear plenty of stories about people, being taken a task about something and they delete it, but it's not gone.
It's not deleted.
It's an internet land forever. It's there's not a whole lot that you can do about that once you get the information out there. Good luck retrieving it.
Kind of going back to what Sergeant Stark was saying earlier, security over convenience. It's certainly not convenient to read those privacy notifications as they come through, but certainly worth it security-wise.
Yeah, you have to watch out for it, because they could throw in it. I mean, they might ask for your firstborn, and you're just clicking check. I really want to post this picture of me looking like a puppy.
This is my one goal in life, is to have the dog ears and the long tongue. That's exactly what I want out of life.
It's all about the fake internet points.
It really is. So with all that being said, is there anything else that you'd like to pass out, or you'd like to say before we kind of start wrapping this up?
I think the last thing I just want to touch on really quick, and this can apply to home and at work, is a a little bit about cyber scams. So
Okay.
things like spam in your emails, phishing attacks, things like that. I know probably people have heard the term phishing. Maybe they don't know what it is. So spam and phishing, what's the difference? Spam being anything you get in your email, or I mean, it can come through text, any kind of media that is unsolicited, unwanted, unwarranted. And actually, spam makes up over 90% of all email traffic these days,
right.
which is
Yeah.
pretty believable in my opinion. Phishing, on the other hand, is something that is premeditated and malicious by nature. So phishing being they are targeting you with something that may look real or authentic, and they're trying to get you to maybe click a link, go to a website, and what that link does is, just like we were talking about the vulnerabilities earlier, that link may well just open up a vulnerability on your machine and allows an attacker to poke through your system and take information from you without you even knowing. And so staying vigilant, don't click links within emails unless you know the person and it is digitally signed or encrypted. If something looks fishy, it probably is. A lot of times these phishing and spam attacks, you'll see the email and you're like, that doesn't look real. That looks pretty fake, like not even well done.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some of them are very professional. And if it doesn't feel right, just delete it. Call the company directly. If it's something from your bank, anything like that, I always call them directly on the phone number that you can find on Google and verify with a real person. Hey, did you guys send me this email? Before you start clicking things. And that's the last thing I really wanted to cover.
Don't take the bait.
Don't take the bait.
Don't take the bait. I like it. So one last question before we close things up: Are you both disappointed that they're getting rid of that training that everyone loves so much, the annual training? I mean, I'm going to miss poor Tina.
I'm just gonna miss that guy stealing my phone all the time.
No matter what the right answer is, I chase that guy every
me too.
time.
Me
I'm
too.
never gonna let.
Exactly. This cannot go unchecked. Can't be
You
done.
will get tackled, sir.
Realistic. I know that this information is extremely dry, and no one enjoys CBTs. We don't even enjoy CBTs.
Right, exactly.
But it's important because the further we move on into the future, the more connected we become via the internet, and we just need to make sure that people stay informed of what exactly they are connecting to. Recently there was a couple that was terrorized by someone because they hacked into their temperature gauge in their house and they turned it all the way up. It was an elderly couple. They had connected all of their IP addresses in their home, and the person was able to get in really easily because of that lack of a strong password. So this is something that, we're all in the military. We just need to stay vigilant against outside and bad actors. So I know it's dry, but we just appreciate your time. So thank you very much.
Oh no, glad to have you on. Sergeant Placey, any last thoughts or questions or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Thank you guys
I'm like-
so much for coming
Thanks
on.
for having us. Appreciate it.
This is a very interesting topic to me, even outside of TikTok.
And those dance moves.
Oh yeah, for sure. The robot is strong with this one. But seriously, thank you guys so much for coming on and giving our airmen some extra tools to bring to the fight.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that's the podcast. In case you needed to get in touch with the cybersecurity folks here on base, that number again is 307-773-5139. 773-5139. Join us next week for the next edition. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you again soon. Take care.